boys and girls, if all of the information is being received correctly, which I don't know how it isn't, I think Lynae might be the most shield character in the history of Wuthering Waves that Kuro has ever released. They really, really want you to pull on this character. And I want to get into the details right off the rip. Let's go ahead and start off with how new battle mechanics off-tune mechanic works. We're not going to spend too much time here. This is actually pretty important and prevalent to what I'm getting ready to tell you. But essentially, the new off-tune parry that's getting ready to come into the game, they have an entire guideline on how it's going to work. Basic rules: fill up an off-tune meter, and then they enter mistune state. You cast the tune break skill, and what it's going to do is reduce their vibration, which means their break meter, do a little bit of damage, and then you can use it to also interrupt an attack pattern. A lot of people are looking at this as a positive for fights where the monster gets ready to pop off and do their most difficult of moves that are difficult to parry and dodge. Well, you can probably bypass that by simply casting this tune break skill and interrupting that. Me personally, I think you're a pussy if that's the case. I don't want to cast this tune break skill to avoid the most intense and exhilarating parts of a fight. And so for me, I don't look at that as a positive. I look at that as a way to trivialize boss fights. However, that's just my personal opinion. For people with massive skill issues and don't want to get good, this is a positive. It is. It's an actual positive. For me, I'm looking more at it as just another way for me to counter a monster. And ideally, I would like to counter that monster just kind of in a means of style, not in a means out of necessity. Oh, I don't want to avoid this big attack. Let me just trivialize the fight. That's kind of like my opinion. Anyways, this is where it ends for the accessibility for the entirety of the Wuthering Waves player base. Basically, free-to-play players, everyone, the entire roster can gain access to that. After this, it ends there, if I am understanding this correctly. We enter what's called shifting, which expands upon this new tune break mechanic. And shifting, as we understand it, is exclusive to Lynae. Nobody else in the entirety of this game will be able to inflict shifting. And the way that this works is you have one of two shifting capabilities. You have Tune Rupture and Tune Strain, and you inflict this as you build up the offset meter. Now, if you don't cast Tune Break, this does nothing at all. But then it expands further, and it expands further into something that's called Interfered. And Interfered is it's respective to whatever you chose up here. Remember, in the live stream, they said Lynae can choose one of two different playstyles. Those playstyles are Rupture or Strain. You have to choose them preemptively before you can even go into battle. So if you choose Tune Rupture, then you inflict Tune Rupture in battle, and you can respond to that Tune Rupture with Tune Rupture Interfered. Does that make sense? So it's literally like a whole linear pathing. Before you go into battle, I'm gonna choose Tune Rupture, and then I go into battle, I inflict Tune Rupture Strain, shifting Tune Rupture. That's what it's called. And then once it's inflicted, I cast Tune Break, and now I can respond with Tune Rupture Interfered. That's the linear pathing. You can't do Tune Rupture shifting and then respond with Tune Strain. No, it has to be Tune Rupture into Tune Rupture Interfered, or Tune Strain into Tune Strain Interfered. The linear pathing, like I said. Now, here's the funny thing. Responding, they make sure they explain specifically. Responding, you can do that with both Lynae and Mornye. Responding. Now, here's the crazy thing. Up here, it only mentions Lynae, which means Mornye cannot inflict shifting. She cannot shift. You can't respond without shift. You see, does that make sense? And so if you don't own Lynae, well, this entire concept and mechanic and playstyle is not accessible. You can only do the surface level shit, which is up here. Cast, Tune Break, offset them, boom. GG's, you can't do anything more than there. If you do own Lynae, you can now gain access to the responsibilities. By the way, those are already pre-baked and built inside of the 3.0 characters kits. Both Lynae and Mornye can respond. And what does respond do? One of two things, depending on what you chose preemptively. If you chose Tune Rupture does what's called a special attack. This right here is the special attack of Lynae. But guess what? Both Lynae and Mornye can respond. And here's the thing. I can see where they're going with this. Every single 3.0 character that enters this playstyle is going to be able to respond with both Rupture or Strain. And then I go back to this tweet that Brax made. He said, I tune broke a clanker with Mornye, And then I saw 200,000 spectral damage on top of Mornye. Now, there were people trying to say, oh, that's early beta stuff. Oh, I'm sure she's not going to be able to do that. Why the fuck would they not make the new character strong? They're going to make the new character strong. This doesn't surprise me at all. In fact, I guarantee she's still going to hit for 200K when she drops. The thing is, guys, let's come back over here. This Toon Rupture can be cast with all resonators that can respond. And so it's not going to just be one 200K. You're going to build a team of Toon Rupture responders, right? This is going to be the new break playstyle. Like I said, just like fucking Super Break, it's going to be the new break playstyle. All three of them can respond with Toon Rupture, provided you have one person on the party that can inflict Toon Shifting to enable them to respond. And it's going to be 200K, 200K, 200K. It says the cooldown of each resonator special attack on a specific target is calculated separately. So that means if you have 3 people that can respond with Toon Rupture, you're going to be doing a ridiculous amount of damage after you do the Toon Break with one of your characters. And so then there's Toon Strain. Toon Strain says you're going to deal additional damage to the targets in this state. So this functions differently. It's not a special attack. It's like a damage increase. And that damage bonus increase is going to increase further the more people on the team that can respond with Toon Strain interfered, right? So you can build a team of Toon Ruptures or a team of Toon Strainers. Regardless, Mornye can respond with both, and this leads me to believe that the more that they drop going into this pre-baked playstyle, the more people are going to be like going into Toon Strain interfered and Toon Rupture. I say all of this to say though, none of this is possible. You cannot respond if there's not something to respond to, and that something to respond to is the shifting effect, which, by the way, Resonator Lynae can inflict the 2 types of shifting. It does not say anybody else can. And that indirectly tells you it is exclusive to Lynae, because once again, when you go down here, it damn well does include Mornye in the picture with responding. Lynae and Mornye can respond. By not including anybody else, nobody else can respond. Do you get what I'm trying to say? This pretty much points in one direction. If you want to play the new playstyle, you have to pull on Lynae. If you don't pull on Lynae, you can't play the new playstyle. You can only cast Toon Break in the way that I mentioned earlier, which is just the surface level version of it. Therefore, Lynae and Mornye are must pulls for the Toon Break playstyle. Mornye is going to make the Toon Break shit even more broken than it already is, and Lynae is an enabler for you to even be able to respond with interfered strain or rupture. So both of them are actually necessities. And then to make things funnier, if we come over here and look at the new weapons are shilling Lynae even further. Dealing damage to targets under Toon Strain interfered grants a damage bonus. So they have to be under Toon Strain interfered. You can't use interfered without shifting. You can't use shifting without Lynae. So this is attached to picking up Lynae. This is attached to picking up Lynae, the broad blade. This isn't. This is one of the weapons where it's actually, you just have to cast Toon Break. Everybody can cast Toon Break, right? So the pistol is the one exception here. And then finally, the gauntlet, this is attached to picking up Lynae. And then this is another one that's just like the pistol, just cast Toon Break. So 2 of the 3 new 5-star standard weapons, you don't need Lynae, but the other 3, you would literally need a Lynae or wait for more characters to release. Does that make sense? Final thing here is to cope incredibly hard. And I still would say it's kind of slimy though, but like maybe they're sneak dropping rover, the new element rover. And maybe the new element rover is going to be much like Harmony MC was for Super Break and HSR, whereas the new element rover will be able to enable and inflict shifting just like Lynae, but they're sneak dropping them because they want people to impulsive pull the minute 3.0 drops on Lynae. Now, I was already planning to get Lynae. It's not a problem for me. This is more so a problem for people who were planning to skip Lynae and try to pull on other characters that they want to save up for, or maybe you're saving up for the collab. Those people are going to take a massive L, because if you don't pull Lynae, you can't play the new Toon Break playstyle. Now look, maybe you don't care about the new Toon Break playstyle, and that's completely fine. Most people, like me, I play for the story, and I've kind of lost my interest in playing this game for combat because it's in-game so shallow, but they're adding in new in-game. Not only are they adding in new in-game, who the fuck doesn't want to play the new playstyle that they're adding in along with that called Toon Break? Everybody's interested and wants to give it a go. but you can't unless you pull on Lynae, right? Unless they drop the new tune rover, this is kind of slimy. If I'm being honest, it's a bit slimy. If they drop the new tune rover and he can't inflict shifting, it's still kind of slimy because you're forced to pretty much pull Lynae to play that playstyle. If you skip Lynae and you pick up Mornye, Mornye can't even use half her kit abilities because her kit abilities are tied to somebody inflicting fucking shifting. Does that make sense? And so it all points in pull Lynae, pull Lynae, pull Lynae. It's just like shilling the living shit out of this girl. And I'm not a big fan of that. That is a definition of some gacha garbage. I feel like that made perfect sense. And there's only one little like cope possibility, and that is 3.0 drops. And they have put into every single other character's kit in the game the ability to inflict shifting, tune strain, or inflict tune rupture, shifting. One or the other, not both. This, I feel like people are coping about this. I'm gonna be real, bro. They would have mentioned it in their notes. They would have said, hey, all resonators can inflict one or the other. They would have said that in the notes. The fact that they didn't mention it, I'm pretty damn sure the only character in the entirety of the game as of now is Lynae. And so if you're going to play Tune Rupture, just know, or I'm sorry, the new Tune Break playstyle, just know it's pretty fucking expensive. You have to pick up Lynae and you have to pick up Mornye as well. And then you're going to need to pick up a third character because all of them can respond. And if all of them can respond, like I said earlier, Tune Rupture, Tune Rupture, Tune Rupture is a lot of damage. Tune Strain, Tune Strain, Tune Strain, and it amplifies the more Tune Strain responders you have on the team. It's a whole package ordeal, which means you have to be prepared to invest in not one, not two, but three characters for this new Tune Break playstyle. And hopefully one of those three ends up being the new tune, the new rover. Oh, I mean, I don't see why that wouldn't be the case, right? It wouldn't make sense. So that's going to wrap up this video. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the flip side.